You're on. All right. Welcome back, everyone. We're back again. So this is episode 3 of the SuckLessStation podcast. Again, if you don't know, my name's John Corky, the world's most advice giver. Unsolicited advice giver, I think Dane always calls me. So today, we got a good friend of mine, also one of my previous leaders in the military, because I'm in the Army as well. He is actually an MMA fighter, and he is a part of Team SuckLess. And so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and let him give a brief introduction of himself.
What's up, guys? Really happy to be here. I'm Owen Brennan. Like John said, I was one of his leaders, so I'm an officer in the military. I started doing jiu-jitsu really back in college. That's kind of where my whole love for this started. We can kind of get into how I started that a little bit later. But from Chicago originally, been in Georgia for about 3 years now. Was at Fort Benning. I'm here with John at Fort Stewart. His fiance, lovely Holly, is my nutritionist. And just excited to be here. Never done a podcast before, so excited just to get into it.
All right, so the basis, as everyone knows, the basis of the Suck Less podcast is really identifying what we have sucked at in the past, and then like how or what we are currently doing to suck less at those things. So I guess one of the big things, if you guys don't know, in order to become an officer in the military, there's a couple different routes that you go. We're not going to get into that. This isn't a recruiting video. But he went to college first. So that is how he was able to become an officer. So if you could just be just real quick, what was your major?
I was a psychology and communications major with a minor in leadership, which is just like a freebie through ROTC.
That's pretty cool. So what were, I guess we'll call them challenges. What was like a big challenge? Because you came into the military, graduating college, you're probably what, 22, 23?
Yeah, I was about 22. Yeah.
What was like a big, I guess you want to call it not necessarily a shocker, but what was like a rough transition process coming from that civilian life in college, kind of having all them freedoms, to in the military?
Yeah, I think it's like expectation management, right? With like anything new, especially in like ROTC, all of your instructors always harp on like relationships with your NCOs, right? Staff Sergeant Corcoran or John is one of my NCOs. They like really overplay how like hard charging or like kind of like mean your NCOs can be if you're not like sure of yourself, really good leader, know your shit, this and that. And I think just like that overbearing thought, because when you go through RTC, they're harping on that, and then it gets even worse at ABLE. Like all your instructors, except like your primary, are all NCOs. Mm-hmm. And all they talk about is like how terrible some of their PLs have been. Platoon leaders, for those of you that don't know the abbreviation, just like really try and like stress you out about how important it is that you lead from the front, which is important, but they kind of make it seem like you're gonna fail unless you do like exactly this.
So they're a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, like expectation management, and then like just being so stressed about that, and like learning all these things from like a water hose of information from college. Again, you get to ABLE, and it's like it just expands even more. Mm-hmm. For those of you that don't know, like ABLE is Armor Basic Officer Leaders course, and it's essentially 6 months crash course on like what it is to be an armor officer and how to lead, and all the administrative stuff and then tactical stuff just combined very densely. So it's a lot to handle, a lot to understand, on top of like all these intense expectations that these instructors tell you about.
So it's a big transition, essentially going from like your civilian workspace or civilian college where, you know, you show up to class every day and then you kind of get your degree, to like, hey, you need to learn how to fight now, essentially, and like take care of yourself, and then not only your other people. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, in order to become in a position of leadership, basically, we all, whether we're enlisted or we're officers, we all have to go to some type of leadership school so that we learn how to not suck. Because for the most part, the way everything that you get taught is you get taught by a leader, whether it be him or me. You get taught as an underling, as we'll call them, and then you get brought up, and then you eventually go to a school where they teach you kind of the professional side of the house and whatnot. So it's a big transition, especially for people. I think it's a bigger transition for people coming the officer route because they've spent more time, not necessarily more time, but more time than others inside a civilian realm. And then when they come over here, it's like, woof.
It gets like real. Like you go from like leading your buddies in college where it's like you're kind of like a fake team leader, a fake squad leader, a fake platoon sergeant, fake platoon leader. And then you actually get into the Army where it's like you have these kids that are like 17 and you have sergeants that are like 30 where it's like you are actually now in charge of some big piece of their livelihood. And it, you know, obviously the country's not like at war necessarily right now. So a lot of it all is training, but it's still like you go to the field, you're in vehicles that can kill people.
They're fun.
It becomes really real. Like the whole safety, risk mitigation, all of that goes from kind of like fake, just pretending in college to like, okay, now I'm in a tank or now I'm in a Bradley. I have live rounds. Like it just gets a lot more real very quickly.
So y'all hear that? That's officer talk, right? Yeah. A lot of times, oh, it's okay. By the way, this is Greco, everyone. Just so you know, this is Greco. He's a 110-pound golden retriever.
It's a SuckLess mascot.
Yeah. And so, like, the difference, right? Like, he talks very professional. He's very educated, stuff like that. He's talking about risk mitigation, stuff like that. Whereas, like, a lot of times, us NCOs, we are a more, let's call it ascendant type of bunch, or can be. So, in the SuckLess fashion, I imagine, right? You freshly coming in, like you learned this stuff in college and you learned it in A-Bullock. So a big thing was like you go straight from a training environment, put into real, like you said, but the only thing you know is schoolhouse.
Right.
So like obviously I wasn't a part of your first unit, but was your, I guess, trusting in your NCOs because like you'd have someone like me, right? Like you, I have a hard time with West Pointers all the time. I studied this for 4 years. Cool, dude. I've been doing this for 16. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, did you ever have that, like, initial button head or, like, I guess, a hard time transitioning with that?
Like, yes and no. I was really fortunate. I had, like, really good leaders before me that I shadowed. And kind of the thing that I was getting into from, like, having these, like, crazy expectations put on you from your instructors to, like, getting to the real thing is it's, like, your NCOs really just become like your boys. Like all of my section sergeants in the scout platoon or the tank platoon, like your good performing NCOs become really just like your good buddies that there's like a little bit of a fine line that you have to keep that's like a professional and just like, you know, if they fuck up as you've seen and then on the other
I've been on the receiving end of that one.
of just like being able to like, you know, put the hammer down and be like, guys, you fucked this up. But then, you know, 2 hours later, after the task gets done to your expectation, going back to like shooting the shit and like having fun.
Yeah, you take your licks, you take your little PP slaps, as I like to call them, you get the job done, and that's it. It's just business.
I think where the big challenge is for like some officers is they don't understand that. Like they get very caught up in like, you know, like you just said, like the PP slaps, and then they have a really hard time like coming back from it on the other end.
Yeah.
And coming back into work the next day or like later that day and being like, appreciate you guys getting it done. You know, obviously no hard feelings. We're going to be together for the next however many months, and just kind of moving past that. So it's really a huge, like, doesn't matter your major. It really just comes down to like your ability to communicate and be like just a normal social guy.
Right.
With expectations.
So that can tie into pretty much anyone here, right? So rolling with the punches, as I like to call it. Because are you going to mess up? Yeah, I mess up all the time. Literally more times than I can count during the week. But realistically, you take your punches, you take your licks. Maybe you fucked up a mission. Maybe you didn't do paperwork correct, in my experience. But you take your ass chewing, your pee-pee slap, whatever you want to call it. You get your job done, and then you just go about your day. Like a lot of people have a hard time, and this kind of goes in the real world. I'm sure you've seen, especially being a psychology major. A lot of people have times separating that like business to like, fuck, is he yelling at me as like a friend sort of manner. And we kind of have, so if you don't know, I do his programming right now, and for all intents and purposes I am one of his coaches, as Holly is. And so every now and then, I haven't had to do it very much so, but every now and then I would have to, you know, go from being like, hey, like, I need you to get this fucking done. Or
Right.
I think Holly's been on your ass more than me as of lately. But so that's just like a point example. Like, I'm getting in his ass because he wants me to do a job, and I need him to do something in return. And if it's not happening, then I just kind of like, you know, get serious for a second, and then it's all done. So it's just rolling with the punches, right? So with that, you haven't been fighting for very long, right?
No, like not competitively. Like in college, I competed like maybe 2 or 3 times, and then it's been a lot more serious since I've gotten to Fort Stewart.
So what was the driving factor when you came here? Like, because when I got here, that's all I heard was fight house, fight house, fight house,
Yeah.
and that doesn't just come overnight. So like, when was that, like, let's call it that switch turning when you were like, I want to be a fighter?
Oh, wow. I mean, we have to kind of go back a little bit.
Take it back.
So in 8th grade, I was like a big hockey lacrosse player. Like
Okay.
My whole family are hockey players, everybody. So in 8th grade, I got 3 like major concussions, pretty much in the span of 48 hours.
Oof.
So I went to hockey practice, like kind of sick. I was a goalie, hit my head on the post a couple times that night, and then got hit in the head with a slap shot, and I was cooked. And then the next day I played in a box lacrosse tournament. Got cross-checked in the back of the head. It's the same spot, forward into the boards.
Good lord. Well, it's a
I
good
was
thing you
like,
were young.
Don't remember the game at all. You know, went to the hospital the next like day. Was there for a while. Was like dark room for like a month. Concussive syndrome symptoms for like almost a year. Brought on like a lot of like ADHD, depression. Had to stop hockey and lacrosse. So I was pretty lost. I ended up trying tennis. It was fun, but like I was really missing that like brother aspect you give it like a team sport, which is interesting because obviously like, fighting is still kind of individualistic. But I ended up rowing. I got recruited for rowing to go to a military institute, Culver Military Academy in
Good
Indiana.
lord, you're a psychopath. Rowing's hard.
Rowing's the hardest cardio sport I've ever done. That includes fighting, I think. Yeah, I went there. Kind of fell in love with the whole like regiment, you know, military process. Ended up applying for an ROTC scholarship. Went to Denver, which is where I went to school. My roommate actually started doing jiu-jitsu. Didn't have a car or anything, and I'd like see him freshman year in the hallways, like looked like he just got out of a pool, like drenched in sweat. And I was like, he's a smaller guy. I literally like, held him against the wall, and I was like, where the fuck have you been going? So eventually he told me, and I went with him, starting freshman year, and like immediately fell in love with it. So it was Morningstar Jiu-Jitsu in Denver. Really, really liked it. Great coaches, great space. Did that freshman year. Not super seriously. Like I trained a lot, but like I was like, oh, this is kind of just like a hobby. Sophomore year, didn't train. Junior year was kind of off and on. Senior year, didn't train. Bullock, obviously, in Fort Benning.
Yeah, you didn't have
train.
an opportunity.
Then I came here, and then immediately found the Fight House, which was still like kind of just iffy about it. And then Coach Duke, who just PCS to Hawaii,
Dang.
and Sam, like one of my best friends here, kind of took over the program along with Justin, and that's kind of when it all switched. So I'd say like probably about a year and a half ago was when like the whole switch happened, and I think that kind of comes from coaching, right? Like same thing with like you and Holly, like it just kind of all fell into place really nicely. So a year and a half ago, started training a lot more seriously, competitively. Obviously then you fell into the picture, and it kind of just like brought it all together. So long answer short, about a year and a half ago is when like the switch happened, and it was probably due to coaching and like just being pushed.
Just goes to show you guys, all of us, necessarily combat sports, we'll call them high impact sports, have a bit of a past. Nobody does like in our sport,
Right.
most of the time they say if you're a strongman competitor, it's usually because you have like some type of fucked up past or like you got some fucked up trauma or whatever, right? Mine really was like just kind of piggybacking off like what you said. Just to get, my big strongman thing. I've been involved in fitness my entire life, sports my entire life. There's not a season, not a sport I haven't played. Freaking, I did CrossFit for a while. Realized I hated myself, and I was watching strongman, and we were doing the border, and I saw the events, and I was like, wait, I think I could do this. I did one comp, I won it, my first novice show, and then I was like, that's it, I'm in. But like all of us, right? So I'm active duty combat arms guy, so like I like to break my body down.
Yeah.
Strongman, high impact sport. I'm in. Count me in. You're telling me there's an opportunity for me to get hurt doing this? That's exciting. I'm in. Which is probably why tennis wasn't very good. You're like, man,
Yeah, just like
I might just roll my ankle.
Yeah, it wasn't. This wasn't exciting.
So you started fighting, and then I imagine your learning curve being out the game for so long. Like you probably remembered some things, but how was that coming in? Because he talks about Duke. Duke, for everyone here, is a phenomenal fighter and a very little guy.
Yeah, I think he's like 155.
I fought last year. I tore my LCL, and I was training with them, and I got to roll around with Duke every so often. Skinny man, but he threw me around and put me in positions I didn't think were possible anymore. That man can fight, and Sam is just as good. It's so when he talks about them, it's no bullshit. They're phenomenal dudes. So with them, because they're very. When I was there, they were very like, you're gonna take your licks and then I'm gonna teach you. So how was that getting into it?
Yeah, there's definitely like a test. I joke about this with Duke all the time. Like for the first couple months, like I thought he just like didn't fuck with me. Right? I just didn't think he liked me. Sam's a little bit different. Sam's like super like out of the gate, very like sociable and friendly. But I think with like every good coach, especially in fighting, you'll notice in the roles, which is for like those of you that don't know jiu-jitsu, is like pretty much sparring. It's called rolling. So in the roles, there's like test roles, right? Like once an instructor kind of gets to know you, like knows you're there, probably for the long run and like really care about the sport, you'll notice there's like a switch where like they're still not even close to going all out, but they stop letting you work, or they're testing you.
Yeah.
Like they'll submit you multiple times in a row with the same thing, or try, or just make the roll way more exhausting and painful, and see if you'll just keep going.
Yeah.
And
We did the same thing in wrestling.
yeah, it's
That's the new guy. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of just that, they just do that, they test you, and then obviously if you're like committed and want to be there, you're gonna keep going, which I did. I really liked Duke and Sam, and obviously I respect them and look up to them. So it's like I'm not gonna fucking quit. Like I'm just gonna try and go harder. And yeah, I mean, obviously I stayed with it. Duke and Sam are both really good, close friends. Yeah, obviously it's just like a matter of committing and just letting them fuck you up.
Hear that? Commitment. And sticking it through. Because I don't think you've ever quit anything your entire life, but like, especially with fighting, because it's very similar to wrestling and whatnot, but like, obviously, but there's punches thrown and stuff like that. It comes down to a test of will, like, because you know that like you're going in there to get fucked up every day, but you still show up. I had this question for myself with wrestling. My wrestling high school coach, absolute psychopath, but like we were the most conditioned team, and we had some really good talent, but we were the most conditioned team, and he would always say, "Give me 2 weeks." Like the first 2 weeks of wrestling, he's like, "Give me 2 weeks, and you'll never have to worry about your legs or your cardio ever again." I promise you, we were limping out of there every day, but you still show up.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's cool. It's cool to see the correlation. Now, with getting into fighting, and then let's fast forward into the, you were obviously doing your own nutrition, everything like that. Then I show up about 2 months before Marn Week. For those of you, Marn Week is every installation that the Army has. We have a week, whatever the fucking installation is, dedicated to that place, and it's just nothing but sports. and pretty much the most renowned sports are the combatives and
basketball.
Yeah, pretty much anything with a ball.
Yeah.
And football, really.
And soccer are like the big ones too.
Yeah. So all your majors, that's like the big thing. And it's actually really great because usually we have to do some stupid division run that's like really long in the morning. But if you're a fighter, you get to miss it, which is really why I did it in the first place last year. But going into there, you're doing your own nutrition. You're doing realistically your own training.
Yeah.
What was something that you learned, not necessarily that was incorrect, but something that you learned that brought what you already knew to that next level?
You're saying like once you joined the picture?
Yes. Once I essentially got my claws in you, because I was very abrupt about it. You were like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" And I was like, "Oh, this is dog shit."
Yeah. Again, that kind of like I've been like I never had a coach for like strength or nutrition really ever. And I was doing okay. Obviously, like I was still competitive and handled everything, but yeah, I think once like you kind of came into the picture, it was just like the discipline and the diligence of like tracking things, and then like as you are getting closer to things, changing your programming. Because for me, it was always like I would bounce between like push pull legs, or I really liked full body splits for a while, which obviously everything has its pros and cons. But I think you and I sat down. Obviously, youth wrestling background is helpful. And we really designed like a program that's built around obviously getting stronger, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily the emphasis. It's more like working things that build directly into jiu-jitsu or fighting with like whether it's explosiveness paired with conditioning, or we obviously have like straight weeks of really more just like strength focus. Like right now everything is pretty high. Like I just did the chest today and I was like 3 sets of 15 that's a lot.
Yeah,
So,
how'd that go, by the way?
It was tough. Yeah, 5 by 30 decline push-ups. You're fucking on crack. It's not even close. Yeah, it's good. I guess that's what I learned is like you can really tailor a workout program to your sport more than I ever really thought.
Mm-hmm. And that's like where I can kind of give a big thank you is so I am familiar with pretty much most sports. And but for me, like I can learn as much as I can learn, but I need to be able to like teach it in order for me to solidify it in my brain. So like you bringing me on, I was extremely grateful for that because you forced me into a new realm of thinking. Because obviously programming a fighter and training for a fighter, like obviously I don't want to burn you out in the gym too much because you still have fight practice, so you can't be dog shit during the day. So it's nice. It forced me to find that balance and then obviously learn your body and what you respond to, which from what you told me has been great. And what I saw last week with all them PRs was phenomenal. So that was something I would say that like I personally sucked at. I had a very kind of just like one track mind, and by working with him here, it has allowed me to open up and kind of be more, I'd say more receiving, because you're definitely one of the more vocal guys that I have. You, aside from the like, hey, can we do some bicep curls? I'm like, that one I'm like, oh god, all right. But no, you're more vocal about like your training, how it feels, what's working, and stuff like that. So that was something I used to not really be good at, like receiving, and that kind of comes with my NCO background for the most part. Because like when a lower enlisted comes to me, why are we doing this? Because I fucking said so. Would usually be my response. Yeah. But now it's nice because you're asking for information and it's allows me to deliver the tools to just obviously improve your knowledge as well. So going into it, right? So we started modifying all that stuff, everything like that. Let's talk about your first weight cut, because I'm sure there were a lot of learning lessons inside that.
Yeah, that was it's interesting how this all like ties in, right? Like when I first got my platoon, it was just like trusting in the experienced guys, which is like your NCOs. So yeah, for my first weight cut, which was for Marn Week, I think we started that at like 229 or like 230.
It was
something.
a big cut.
And,
it was a 31-pound cut.
Yeah, and I had to beat 205.9 by the end of the week or something.
Yeah, that weigh-in still frustrates me.
So, yeah, I mean, I like get there. I'm like, I need to, and we had talked about it weeks prior of just like how we were going to do that. Because originally I was just going to fight heavyweight. And then I was like, there's no way I can cut X amount of weight in this amount of time. And you're like, well, actually. And so I got introduced to the water load process, which is really cool. I've done it 2.5 times now, I guess you could say, which was incredible. Had no idea, the body could do that. So I guess, yeah, my introduction was very abrupt, but I really just put all my eggs in one basket and listened pretty much to everything you said. It sucked, though. Definitely, I tell everybody, like, those sauna sessions, the night prior, I got on the scale and was 219, and that was, like, at 7 p.m., 6 p.m., and by, like, 11 p.m., I was 204. So those sauna sessions still haunt me. It's, like, the most... I've never been tortured, but I gotta think it's, like, the closest thing that you can get to.
I feel you. I haven't had to do a big cut in a while. That one for nationals, because of coming back from Poland, that was one of my biggest cuts to date.
Yeah.
I had to be 176, and I was 192, like the afternoon before my weigh-in.
Yeah.
It was tough. But I'd say with that, because if I remember very correctly, we had you eating bland chicken.
Yeah.
And broccoli.
I mean, I can literally speak the entire process by memory now.
I was gonna say, did you learn how to like season your food better to make like that easier?
No. I just found appropriate frozen chicken that like maybe had 0.2% more fat on it. That was just a little bit tastier and probably a little more processed. And I could get that down pretty. You
gotta try Mrs. Dash. Mrs. Dash.
That's what I had in the simulator. Oh my god, man! For me, it didn't matter.
So we learned the water load and why it sucks to be heavier.
Yeah.
Starting it, but then, but I mean, it all worked out. And the reason why I said that weight cut, or not that weight cut, but that weigh-in pissed me off. Oh my gosh, that weight cut was a fucking nightmare. So he shows up to where I was living at the time. We had this whole plan. He came over. I had my sauna, and we were going to sauna in the garage. I had a couch set up. We had a TV set up. We were going to put the UFC fights on with Dylan. And it was going great at first. You went, I think you're about to do your third session.
Yeah, it was the first session was like almost 30 minutes. Started to feel it, got out, whatever. And then you were on the bike. You got in for like 10 or 15 to give me my break. I went in for like another 15. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of this thing. Got out, and then you got back in, and it like started to smell weird.
Yep.
What had happened was like with the bubbler was on the ground, but we were sweating so much that the water and shit started to get out of the sauna.
Yep.
And sucked into the steamer and fried it.
Now, mind you, this was like 8 o'clock at night, and you still had 10 pounds?
Yeah, like about 10 pounds, I think.
10 pounds to go. He's really tall, so he doesn't fit in any of our local tubs. I like suggested a hot bath. That wasn't going to work. He's too tall. Sauna broke. He's like, I have a full sauna at my house. So we drove an hour. Yeah. We drove an hour to this man's place mid-water cut.
Sweatpants, sweatshirt with the heat all the way up in the truck, and I was just like, this is awful. Eating that freaking Jolly Rancher gum.
Oh, I just threw that away from my old truck.
So bad.
But, so, long story short, we get there, we drive the hour. He goes into his full sauna. A lot of bitching. A lot of phone calls. A lot of distractions. Yeah.
I think we were like down to like 12-minute sessions. I think we did one 12-minute and then one like 10-minute, and then I was like 206 and was still peeing like a little bit, which is great. So then we were on the phone with Holly, and she's like, he's good. And I was like, are you sure? I could do probably like one more.
Now, we both agreed you were good at that point. But freaking, that was just fun because like I've been there, right? So I can relate to that, and I'm sure some of you who watch this have been there too. So like when you're watching someone go through their first big water cut, you're like, I remember that. And but he made it, and then the reason why the weigh-in pissed us off was because we got there in the morning, right and fucking early. We're waiting in line to weigh in, and he's dying. I'm like, whatever. I only had to lose like 6 pounds. And then we hear the official, someone weighed in heavy, and I was like, all right. And then the official goes, oh, you're good. There's a 2 pound weight allowance, and immediately. For those of you who know me, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, loud as fuck. I was like, that would have been great to know before we did a giant fucking weight cut, because obviously some people are going to cut weight. And then him in his zombie state, he's like, just don't make a big deal about it. I was just like, I was fuming. Any of you weight class athletes know that is absolutely unacceptable. But we did it, we made it, and that actually leads us into the next question, which... my buddy Dane will get this one answered for you. He said, excuse me, he wanted to know what your refeed looks like in comparison to like a strongman. So right now, because you're doing primarily military fights, I think your normal fights that you do, it's same day weigh-ins, right?
Yeah, like most jiu-jitsu tournaments are same day weigh-ins, and I usually just fight like under 225 because I sit usually between like 215 and 220.
So with the 24-hour weigh-ins, he wants to know what your refeed looks like, because us strongman, we get a 24-hour weigh-in all the time. Except one of my clients, they weighed them in at like 3 in the afternoon, and they competed at 8 a.m. the next day. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. But like obviously our refeeds for weight class guys, like if we're doing big cuts, water loads, all that nonsense, we have like some type of hydration beverage in the morning. You gotta wait a little bit, and then it's pretty much all about carbs, but nothing ever like super sticky. Just like some quick acting carbs, something easily digestible to kind of fuel us up for the next day. How does that look in relation to like what you do?
Pretty similar. I mean, that first weight cut, we had really lucky. We had that whole weekend to refeed.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So yeah, I weighed in that morning at 204, and then by the time I went to fight, I was like 220 again. Mm-hmm. So that weekend was awesome. That first day, I really, again, leaned on my subject matter expert and was just like, what do I eat? And it was really just more, it was pretty much like not as much as I wanted, but damn near as much as I wanted of all the stuff I usually ate. So a lot of like chicken, lean beef, rice, stay away from like greasy, heavy cheeses. So that was pretty much the first day. A lot of like little granola sweet bars and shit, just because I'm a huge sweets guy. Love sweets. So a lot of like little granola bars and stuff. But yeah, nothing crazy. That first day, got my body kind of back to homeostasis. Had the gallon of like Pedialyte and liquid IV and all that stuff. Crushed like the first half, and then sipped on the rest kind of throughout the day. Woke up the next morning, felt really good, and then it's kind of more of the same. I got a little bit more like excitement, I guess, out of my food. I had like a lot of hibachi. It's like one of my favorite foods.
Hibachi is great.
A lot of just like rice, veggies, chicken, teriyaki, whatever. But still, I wanted to go into Monday like not feeling heavy in a sense of like food heavy. Obviously I wanted to be like heavier than all my guys in my weight class.
Yeah, you didn't want to feel lethargic because
right.
Like your body's still trying to process everything it just ate.
Yeah, just a lot of hibachi, a lot of water, obviously like no drinking. Yeah, like I think I had like a little bit of ice cream like Saturday night, but yeah, it was nothing like no pizza, nothing crazy like that.
Was there anything that you ate during your refeed? Let's say that, I think we weighed in Friday, right? Like Friday morning? Yeah, because we had the weekend.
Yeah.
So was there anything that you learned on that Friday? Like, was there anything that you ate that essentially your body didn't agree with? I told this in my last podcast, but like, I learned on a refeed well, my body doesn't like fats in general really much.
Yeah.
I ate a bunch of honey roasted peanuts before that competition in January, and it destroyed my insides.
Yeah.
And cost me. I want to say it cost me my pull, but yeah. So like anything like that.
I feel like it's probably across the board. I feel like no matter how simple that first meal is, like you're just so hungry. Like if you really don't have someone being like, stop eating, you're gonna have like. I didn't necessarily have any like bad stomach issues. Like I wasn't getting sick or anything, but I was just like super bloated and like uncomfortable. Even like I think we went to IHOP that morning and I just had like eggs, hash browns, and some toast. But like obviously those restaurants cook with just like a fuck ton of butter and stuff. So I would say as much as I enjoyed that first meal, I probably felt the shittiest after the first meal.
Because they're all just sitting there waiting to be digested, like all that fat that they put the oil in.
But no, nothing like brutal where I was like sick or like shitting myself or anything like that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And then you evened out Saturday and you were heavy come Monday, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then for those of you, if you didn't watch my Instagram story, he won. He won the division light heavy, or he is the division light heavyweight champion, soon to be defending.
Hopefully.
Which he actually goes. He fights again in. We just did it today. What, 4 weeks, right?
So yeah, I competed yesterday, and then I'm gonna do a sub only tournament. So like in jiu-jitsu, you can win off points or submission. I'm doing a sub only, so submission only tournament November 8th.
Ooh.
As my like last final kind of pulse check, and then I weigh in November 18th, and then this year it's only 2 days, so it's gonna be. So the way the
you're gonna do semis on that first day. Oh god, that's like what, 3 matches?
Grappling and
yeah.
So the way the Army Combatives tournament works is it's typically a
Let's see if we got any more questions.
3, if not 4 day progression, with the first day or two being strictly grappling, so wrestling and jiu-jitsu, so obviously like submission-based grappling.
No questions.
And then the following day is a sport called pancration, where it's open slaps to the face, closed fists to the body, and then you can throw kicks.
I didn't actually know I had a name to it.
You throw kicks, you have shin pads on, and then if you win that day, that's a 1 10-minute round, and then the final day is an MMA fight. This year, because there's people deploying, it's only going to be 2 days, so the first day is going to be all the grappling matches and your pancration match. So it's going to be pretty tough, but I'm looking forward to it. And then the final day, hopefully it's a nice, quick knockout for myself and get out of there.
I'll tell you one big thing he learned from last year's finals fight. He learned to cover his face.
Yeah.
Pretty good. That last year's match was electric. It was crazy.
We can put the link in there too. It's on YouTube.
Ooh, yeah. I'll tag up his finals match when I go and redact this down and put it up on Instagram. But so now, like we've covered all that and everything like that. I've been gone for like 7 months, really, and you've kind of been left. You were in charge of the battalion for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, I've been on and off taking over like the rear detachment commander when our current commander just had a kid, so he's been doing like blocks of leave. So I'll like step in and take care of the criminals back in the rear.
So between all that, right, like, because we were obviously gone, so between like your training, your nutrition, your job, hell, let's call it life in general, what have you learned that like you needed to work on, and that you're like actively, that you could say you're actively doing now to just improve yourself and just be better?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me, and I know Holly can attest to this, is like my nutrition. I'm always like pretty good about training. Like I'll never really stray from my training too much, just because it's such like a cornerstone for obviously like my mental and physical health. But my nutrition is where I get myself into trouble. I've been really, I'm definitely better about it now. But a huge thing I used to do is like, like especially on the weekends, right? I'd have like one bad day, or like I would have a good plan, and then I'd overeat on something, or I'd have like something I wasn't supposed to have, or it didn't fit in my macro plan. And then I'd be like, oh, well, this day's fucked. I might as well just go eat, 2 fucking, like 2 ribeyes and a pint of ice cream. And then I'd be like, well, tomorrow's an off day, so I'm like kind of fucked again. Like, it was just a toxic mentality for myself. It was like what do you call it? Like self-sabotaging.
Yes.
For sure. And I'm just realizing, like, I've obviously done it so many times where I'll like have a really good week. I'll drop like 6 pounds. I'll look really good, feel great. I'll be in that like 215 to 220 range. Everything feels good. And then I'll, maybe I'll even weigh in light on like a Saturday. I'll be like 213. I'll be like, oh fuck yeah. And then
you'd be like, oh, I can spoil myself a little bit.
Like, oh, I should celebrate. And then
Shit.
it's like you just absolutely fuck yourself.
I just did that today. I woke up at an all new low. I was 183.7 today. And I went to get my truck washed. And Holly called me in the middle of me shoving a Reese's Caramel Big Cup in my mouth. And she's like, I had a slice of pizza with that too. But she goes, are you eating something like you're not supposed to? I said, don't worry. I know what it is. I'm going to put it on my macros. I'm going to track it. And then obviously I'm going to make the adjustment to my meals accordingly.
That's like, that's the biggest thing too, is it never, for me, I'm like a huge binge guy. Like once I buy something, it's like I need to get this finished and out of my house so the next day I can behave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if I buy a pint of ice cream, like people that have a pint of ice cream in their freezer and have like a spoonful or two, I will never understand it. But it's like once I buy something, I have to finish it. Like I can't be like, oh, I'm gonna have a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow. Like it's got to be gone so that I can start fresh the next day.
I feel that. That's why my fridge looks the way it does. Is because I'm like, if I have it in the house, I'm gonna eat it. That's why I have no snacks.
Yeah, like even chocolate rice cakes, I like a little too good.
The white cheddar, the everything for me, because I get a sleeve of them, like, oh, all right, this is okay. The whole bag gone, like, fuck.
Like I can't have peanut butter, like, because I'll just put that on like random shit.
Peanut butter is such a staple, though.
I'll have the powdered peanut butter, which is not as good, so it's all right. But
I think I tried that one time, and it was pretty shit. But that goes to show you, right? So, like, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. And this kind of reverts back to, like, what we talked about before about kind of rolling with the punches or taking, like, your little pee-pee slap.
Yeah.
It's just because you make one little mistake, or let's say you eat something, one little thing that you eat, doesn't mean it's the fucking end of the world, and that's it. Now we're just going to fucking move right off that cliff, right? Nutrition's one of those things. Okay, you want to treat yourself. Go ahead. Treat yourself. Put it into your macros. Maybe. And then go from there, right? Like, I had a Reese's Cup today. Fuck me. But I'm going to adjust it in my macros and the food that I eat later. Maybe I just can't put as much sriracha mayo on my food now. Whatever. I made that choice this morning when I chose to eat the Reese's Cups, which I don't regret by any means. I'm not saying I regret it. But there's always a workaround, or there's always a way that you can just be like, okay, I fucked this up. But, like, I didn't fuck everything up. Yeah. Just in this one moment. So that's a great takeaway.
But it's also like having the discipline to do that. Is like if you have that Reese's Cup and you're like, oh, I can't wait to have this sriracha mayo on my shit, but then you like delete it out of your MyFitnessPal and you're like, good for the day. But then you use it anyways, and you're like, fuck.
Damn it. Yeah. My numbers were great.
Yeah.
Were they?
You didn't really plug everything in.
So aside from that, like with your nutrition, is there anything else that like you got going on?
Just like in life.
Yeah, sure. In general, like what have you identified that it's an area that like you would want to be better at, that, and then now you have the steps or taking the steps to be better in that area?
Yeah, I think nutrition's like the big thing. I think like form, I think is kind of like a thing that people obviously say they pay attention to, and like obviously a lot of people do, but for me specifically is not just like throwing weight on there to throw weight on there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, obviously being a bigger guy in the gym, people are, you think people are looking at you.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I gotta put a certain weight on.
I got a fucking ego lift now.
Like if I don't have 225 on the bar when I'm benching, it's like that's barely my body weight. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's pussy shit. But you know, like today, doing 3x15, like slow and controlled. I promise you, I was not doing 225. It's just like, just like getting that out of your head and understanding that like slow and controlled is always going to be better than like heavy and shitty. You know?
So more discipline.
Yeah, discipline. I'd say from like nutrition and the strength program and just fighting in general is like understanding how freeing, and I know that's like the cliche military thing, but like how freeing discipline is. Because it's just like the other day I went over to my buddy's house, I brought, you know, like my bowl of fruit, my pre-made lunch, and like watched football, like had a couple chips, didn't go overboard, like stayed within my shit. And like you drive home with like a sense of like, it's, you know, it's the little things, right? But it's like, that's a big win for me, specifically mentally, because it's like, I could have sat there and crushed an entire bag of Doritos, but I didn't, you know, it's like, it's like just having the plan and then actually using the plan, like the preparation, right? Like poor preparation. What is it?
Isn't it like poor planning leads to failure or something like that?
Poor planning produces piss poor performance or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the discipline leading to like creating a good plan, and then having the discipline to actually execute that plan. Yeah,
and that's actually really good that like you've identified, you know, a discipline issue, but like obviously we can see it that you're getting way better with it and stuff like that, and then hearing that, because discipline is one of those things you can't be taught. You get all the tools in the world, you can get have everything at your disposal, but like if you can't be disciplined enough to like follow it, like you're fucked.
Yeah.
I had a big trial with that right now. No, I had the same thing with nutrition. You know, I want to sneak something here and there or something like that, but I've fully committed to my current nutrition plan, and then my current coach, because I tore my rotator cuff at nationals. We went on this big 4-week rehab block, and let me tell you, you want to talk about staying disciplined with it, like that was tough. When you're staring at 15 sets of 3 with like an empty barbell, I'm just like, fuck, just like so defeated. But
rehab discipline's a whole other monster.
Yeah, so that's awesome to hear, because I think everyone could honestly, serve themselves to be a little bit more disciplined in any aspect.
Yeah.
But, Mr. Greco, I do believe that is it. Just so everyone here, again, division top light heavyweight fighter, fellow SuckLess athlete, and my name's John Corky. I'm gonna get this video edited down. If any of you guys came out to the live stream, asked some questions, or for those of you who posted questions to my Instagram, hopefully those questions got answered and y'all took a little takeaway from today. Most of these conversations are just all genuine off the top. There's really no script, because I think scripted stuff is stupid and fucking dumb, and it's better if it's genuine. So big takeaways from today, I think our number one was discipline.
Yeah.
Everything you want in your life can be achieved with better fucking discipline. So if you don't suck at discipline, or if you do suck at discipline, try and do little things. Like he said, he was doing little things, getting little wins, to suck a little less at being disciplined.
Can I add on to that super quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think my last little piece that I've like noticed I'm doing more, and it helps a lot, is doing whatever you're supposed to do or need to do like then and there. Mm. Whether it's like, you know, you walk past like a little thing on the ground and you're like, oh, I should pick that up, and then you're like, oh, I'll get it, you know, when I come back to the kitchen later. It's like, no, just bend down, pick it up, throw it away.
Yep.
It's like little shit like that. You'd be surprised how that builds into like going from like, oh, I hit that, you know, 4-mile run later, until like that. You do those little things, and all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm gonna do that 4-mile run now, and that's obviously a way bigger commitment than bending down and picking up a fucking crumb. But it's
little
like
W's to the big ones.
It does. It adds up.
That's why you should always make your fucking bed in the morning, for those of you who don't. Start your day out with a W.
Yep.
But again, my name's John Corky. This is the SuckLessStation podcast. Have a great one.